So let's start with the prayer. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Gurave Namaha, Om Shri Gurave Namaha. So, Kishore ji has something very interesting to reveal today and discuss. I request all of you to participate and keep it healthy. So everybody is here to gain more knowledge. So let's hope that in the next 1 hour or so, we should be able to learn something more in Vedic astrology. Okay.
So we'll first start with some misconceptions that most of the astrologers will have when they start the journey. And the biggest misconception, or shall we say, the fallacy of following single rules, is that sometimes they don't work because there are exceptions which are not taken into account by the budding astrologers. And even I have made the mistakes of such types. It's only with the guidance of the senior astrologers, the gurus, that we come to know that astrology is not so simple and linear.
Okay.
So the first thing that most of us would like to talk about is whether the planets are exalted in a chart or debilitated. That is the first thing that we look at. And it's not wrong to say that we shouldn't be looking at it. But then there is a bias associated with the planets that are debilitated. So when the planets are debilitated, and this is a question to almost all the budding astrologers here, the ones who have completed the last BGNR course. If there are some, please raise your hands. And even others can participate, of course. So when we talk about debilitated planets, please put your views and let us know what is the perception of such debilitation that you have in mind. So was my voice clear, Guruji? Audible?
Yeah, it is very much,
Okay. So I would like to request Guruji to allow everyone to talk in turns.
Yeah, we are in that setting only. So anybody who wants to participate, I think we already have started receiving text in the chat. For example, Harish says, planet is in an angry state, right? For debilitated planets. Kopa, okay? In the avasthas, one of the standard ways of describing a debilitated planet is it's angry. As against exalted planets, they're extremely happy mood.
So would angry be the opposite of happy, or would sad or weak be the opposite of happy, Rahulji? And by the way, request everyone to type in chat in case if you are.
I think angry was shared by Harish. What I put in the chat is debilitated planet is generally weak.
Okay, my bad.
And doesn't have a strength. I mean, lot of strength there.
Okay, so Harish ji and Rahul ji both are giving some conflicting, or rather different views. Can I ask other people to also give their perceptions?
Manuda says unhappy.
Yeah. I remember Guruji once mentioned something about angry state. When is a planet angry, Graha angry? I will come to that later. But yeah, somebody wants to say something.
Yes, Leena, this side. So basically, my understanding is like pros and cons. Like, okay, fine, debilitation is there. So what I have understood that, say, for example, if sun is debilitated, then your ego is diminished. So for certain areas, we need that we have to leave our ego aside. So it can be made pros and used accordingly. And Similarly, for Mars, sometimes I see that that aggression is not needed because the setup is so violent already that if Mars is debilitated and a person is not having that much energy, sometimes it's okay. I mean, I'm not saying that it is good, but sometimes I am looking at both the sides of it when I see debilitation.
Maybe we can try to understand the possible connection or logic for a planet's exaltation. And maybe from that we will understand. To get started, I will just give you a clue. Can we make some esoteric statement on why Mars is exalted in Capricorn?
And
Mars,
the opposite also, Guruji. The same
no,
question can have a flip coin.
Yeah, when we understand one side, maybe by default we might understand the other side. Okay, so let's start off with exaltation, because debilitation is just the opposite side. So suppose you say Mars is exalted in Saturn's house. Can we try to come up with some philosophical statements on why it is so? Now, for example, Harish starts up by saying Kalapurusha's 10th house action. Okay? Kalapurusha's 10th house action. I'm sure all of you understand what is the meaning of Kalapurush. It always starts with the head in the Lagna for the whole world is Aries. So the 10th house, the Karma Karaka, Saturn. So that's what I think he's hinting at action. But why this planet is exalted here?
Because Capricorn represents the willpower and strength and courage.
Okay.
And Mars likes to be like courageous. And
why do you say Capricorn is willpower and courage? If you say Capricorn is the 10th sign in the zodiac, maybe it pertains to action or purpose of life, karma. And then can you connect Mars is very happy to be here. From that point of view, can you make some statements?
Good evening, Guruji.
Huh?
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, Mardini.
Capricorn from the other zodiac is an environment which only Mars can enter and can succeed, because it's full of struggles, troubles, and the only planet which can enter inside, fight, and get success, which fit the environment of Capricorn, is Mars. That is why other planets, I think, cannot dare to enter Capricorn and get exalted. But Mars is fighter, and Capricorn is very difficult environment. So Mars can be exalted here because the characteristic of Capricorn fit Mars. At the same time, Cancer, it's one environment very far away from the characteristic of Cancer. Cancer will not feel the job of Cancer. He cannot do the job of Mars. He cannot do it in Cancer. That's why he is debilitated in Cancer.
Okay, good. We had a good answer. But I'll give you something to start with. Maybe we can use similar ideas depending upon the situation and context. Take, for example, the status of Arjuna on the opening scene of Kurukshetra war. What is his actual purpose there? It's his duty, right? And what is Arjuna doing? What is the state of Arjuna? Anyone?
He was there.
Pardon me?
He does.
What has he become?
Emotional.
Emotional, right? Emotional, right? There's no place for emotions in for Mars matter. You understand? Look at a policeman. He will hug the thief and say, "Oh, sorry, you're so poor. That's why you stole." You know, he can't do that. So Arjuna says, "How can I kill Bhishma? How can I kill Drona? How can I fight with Kripacharya, Dronacharya? No, I can't. I don't want." So what happens to the entire purpose? The purpose is gone. Whereas look at it from the other side, that where Saturn is. So if you want to talk about from another angle, you can say there's some bad things about Mars, right? Saturn is all about discipline. Saturn is discipline. So the warrior in us must be disciplined. You're a police officer, you can't just shoot everybody around because you have a gun. There's a lot of discipline. That only a serial killer will do, who also has the same gun in his hand. So that is emotion, right? When a serial killer kills. Whereas when Arjuna is supposed to kill, it shouldn't be emotional because he is there for a purpose. Like this, can we make up some statements for every exaltation? By some statements like this? Do you all agree that Saturn is perseverance and discipline? Anybody objects to that? And that Capricorn is the 10th sign in the Kalapurusha cycle, so it's a purpose of life. All your warlike nature, your physical strength should be utilized only to perform your duty and not to destroy anything, right? So it should be restricted and controlled. The policeman will have his gun, but he will not take it as, he will not take it out unless absolutely necessary. And that shows restraint, because Saturn is all about discipline and restraint. That's why Saturn is called the Pravrajya Karaka, renunciation planet, because restraining. I don't want to enjoy life, even though human beings can enjoy life. Okay? Who's going to stop a human being from enjoying life? So, like this, if you have some ideas, if I start off the discussion on why you think Venus is exalted in Pisces. Okay, before going to that, how many of you feel that we should even do such things, or simply say, no, Maharshi said, or the rishis in the ancient times, all of them said, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, that's enough. We don't have to actually find out why. Okay? Even that point is accepted. Okay? Okay. Whatever I said, did you find it interesting? Or you think we could have explained it in a better way? Anybody has some ideas? Please participate, contribute your views. Mardini started off. I said I added something to that. If now we switch over to Venus exalted in Pisces. Something very similar to what I said. Can you come up with?
Yes, sir. Regarding Venus also, Pisces is the 12th zodiac, last zodiac. Even its symbol, it's two fishes with relationship between two partners. Venus can exalt it there. Venus got Pisces as exaltation sign for it, because also Pisces is the last zodiac, and Venus got the Sanjivani mantra from Lord Shiva. So even so, if we add this logic to the Pisces, Pisces is the last zodiac, so it's related to death, to life after death, because it's the zodiac number 12. Venus got the Sanjivani mantra from Lord Shiva and utilized it perfectly. Even Jupiter, he wanted to get the Sanjivani mantra from Venus, but he couldn't. So got exalted in the house of Jupiter himself. And in the house number 12, which is Bede pleasure, which is unconditional love. And it is symbol itself, it's a relationship because it has two fishes. So Venus got exalted there. Even Venus is a guru, but with other method than Jupiter. So it got exalted in Pisces because Pisces is very spiritual zodiac as well. So the whole characteristic of Pisces fit Venus to get exalted there. Plus, I think all the planets, they got their exaltation sign because this area fit them, except Venus. Venus got its exaltation by war. So Venus deserves its exaltation sign.
Okay. In layman's term, anybody can explain this in a very simple way by just telling something like what I said for Mars.
I can try, sir.
Yeah, please try.
So 12th house is basically giving away.
Giving away.
Yeah,
Okay.
giving away. And Venus is partnership. So partnership will blossom when there is sharing, giving.
Fantastic. Yeah, I like this
that
point.
And then Venus, again, just like Mardini said, Venus is guru only. It's just the other way of the guru. And 12th sign also being the sign of guru and sign of giving, Venus gets exalted there.
Yeah, the first statement, very nice, but okay. We'll wait for anybody else wants to say something. I hope you understood what he said. The first point is fantastic. He says the 12th house of the zodiac is actually about giving and sharing. Okay. And he says if Venus has to blossom, it all starts by sharing. No friendship, no companionship, no love can be maintained without sharing. We are not talking about sharing money alone. We are saying sharing everything, which includes money, by the way. Money, time, love, everything. If that is not shared, Venus suffers. Venus is hit. Fantastic point. Anything else? A little, maybe, of course, Mardini started off by saying both are gurus. That Jupiter is also a guru of the Devas, and Shukra is the guru of the Rakshasas. What do we mean by Rakshasa? And what is the meaning of the rejuvenation mantra that the Rakshasas appear again and again? Right? The mantra to revive. Can that be like a metaphor? The Rakshasas. Do you understand what I'm saying? So is it saying, giving us a message that Jupiter, Venus, if it is in Jupiter place and that to the 12th house, it's very good? Is there some other
Can I say?
Yeah.
Like Rakshasa as a metaphor. I was reading this article or some meme the other day, wherein they said that what is the difference, like Satyug, Treta Yug, and then coming to the Kali Yug, Rakshasas and angels, they are residing in the same body. Because earlier there was a point wherein Treta says that Rakshasas and angels were in the same house. Prior to that, they were like on the same plane. And prior to that, they were like on different planes altogether. So for me, when I think of Jupiter as guru of Devas, Devtas, and Rakshas guru Venus, both the energies are combining, like yin and yang maybe. And again, when I see the fish sign and male and female, because Jupiter is male for female and Venus is female for a male. So both the fishes, they are just blending in yin and yang, like Rakshas and Devtas. Like, nobody is overpowering. Like, my understanding, maybe.
So you're saying this is going to be eternal, right? The devas, the good and the bad will coexist
Is
all the time.
both, yes.
So even if you look at Pisces, it's actually like the yin yang only. Like if you draw,
Yes.
you look at the snake head on the opposite sides, it will match
Yes.
exactly the yin yang diagram that the Chinese
So
culture
it's
has been.
kind of getting balanced. The Rakshasa pravritti is not getting manifested because Jupiter is there to control. The Guru is there to control.
Yeah. Can we give some examples of some Venus stuff which comes along with knowledge? Something. See, we have Venus, many items, right? Many items for Venus. And can you say some examples of Venus stuff?
Brand conscious, maybe?
Okay, brand. Okay. Venus could be like, maybe, can we say music? Harish's movies, right? We have movies. We have horror movies. We have movies that maybe a devotional movie where you get to know something about a god. Okay. Art. Rahul says art. Art is more on the knowledge side. Can we pick up something from Venus side and say it's on the bad side? Anything? Venus, Mardini, war. I would prefer war with Mars. But Venus, something good and bad. Okay. Gambling. Okay. Lust. So, and so on. So we want, look at music. Is it divine or not? Music. Right? It's more to do with godly. Especially in India, we have, the gods and music are intertwined, right? So you can't separate them. Lord Shiva is in that eternal dance. So music, that which he has in his hand, all that. So it is good, it is bad. Okay, we have bad things for Venus, we have good things for Venus. We are saying, let the Venus be more to do with the Jupiter side. So here Venus will be at its best. Look at all the, how do people express bhakti? They express it in form of singing, right? Chanting. Venus is called the mantra karaka, right? So we have nice things about Venus. That nice thing, let it come out in a female sign, because it's more to do with female, right? The Pisces is a female sign. So this is more feminine and the opposite of war and fight. We want Venus, nice music, not with all that, the rude type of music, so noisy. In some places you can hear such things. That's not a Jupiter type music. A Jupiter type music will be very nice. It will be like it's teaching you something, like a guru. So Venus is at its best there. So if you want to learn Bharatanatyam, you should go to a guru. Okay, for all this. So anything to do with the nice side of Venus, if you go to a guru, you can make it better. There'll be nice things about it. Pisces is the feet of Lord Vishnu. Venus is goddess Lakshmi. Wow. What a fantastic point Anu has made this time. Venus is goddess Mahalakshmi, and we are celebrating the goddess day today, which is why we had another chart to discuss. I said, no, we are not discussing that chart. Today, we are more to do with, worship. So Pisces is the feet of Lord Vishnu. Venus is goddess Lakshmi, who stays at the Lord's feet all the time. What a fantastic point. I'm not going to forget this. Okay, from Anu. So do you think this is enough? Before we hand it over to Kishore, Kishorji to continue with what he wanted to say. Right? Like this, you can think up of some ideas, like why moon is exalted. Whatever you feel like, if you want to say something, otherwise I'll hand it over to Kishore.
Sir, just one point.
Yes.
Maybe it's a question kind of thing or comment. 12th house is also the last house. It's going. I mean, it's the end of the life. I mean, similar to 8th, but 12th is the actual end. And when Sanjeevani mantra was used, where the end was 1 over, the Rakshasas were given the life again. Does that have like?
Yeah, maybe yes, maybe yes. Instead, I can rephrase this for you, though you came around a very important point, that the two fish you see is actually mating. Okay. And what does that do? Regeneration. When one thing dies, life is handed over to the next one, the next in the generation. So from Aries again it starts. So there's no end to this. It goes again and again, because the planets are going to the next sign, and crossing over Pisces, going to Aries all the time. So it is just doing it again, one more time. So Venus, if you talk about it as sex and sexual union, which is actually the prime requisite, is actually love. In the normal way, it is usually love brings two people together, and in the process, the regeneration happens. So that's why in some of the cultures and some of the books, we are told that sex is actually divine for that reason, because of the continuation of the fantastic human experience. So Venus, if you want, you can say it's exalted there because it is in the sign of regeneration. If you look at it from another point of view, we are saying let the bad not be associated with Venus, let the good be associated. And for the good to be associated, if you want to bring out the better side of Venus, you need a guru, a teacher. And therefore it is exalted there. And then you can come up with other things about the 12th house and then connect it, right? So thanks for all the, we should say that we have discussed something very different from what we normally do in class in Patreon sessions. Anything else you want to say? Something that's interesting? That if you want to say why Venus and Mercury are exalted in the opposite signs and debilitated in the opposite signs, you want to say something about that, or do we quickly move on? Shall we start, Kishorji?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay.
So there are some pitfalls in this journey, Guruji. When we start off, we tend to stick to the single rules.
Okay.
And then we find some variations and we stick on to those variations also. But just as in life, we learn every day. In astrology also, every time we listen or read something from the shlokas, from the books, we tend to get new ideas coming up. So that was a good discussion that we had. It kickstarted the discussion in the right direction, Guruji. Especially, I was more intrigued with the connection between Mars and Saturn. And that was one point I wish to make. I thought I will make it when it's my turn to speak. And that is that Mars is usually called as the commander, the army commander. And the army commander likes discipline.
Okay.
That's the reason why he gets exalted in Saturn's house, because Saturn is also in a way a promoter of discipline, because he takes care of all the karmic balancing act. So there is no indiscipline in that. You cannot go against. It's adharma to go against that karmic discipline. So there was once, in the morning I was watching a TV series where there was an episode in mythology, and Ravana goes to the Surya god, sun god, and orders him to delay to hasten up his path, on the sky, because during the war in Ramayana, the Nagas, they bind Ram and Lakshmana, and it's called as a Naga Pashan, and that will actually be destructive if the sun's rays were to hit Earth the next day.
Oh.
So Ravan goes to Surya while he's on the chariot, and he says that I want you to be ahead of your time. In other words, I want the sunrise to come earlier than usual. And now Surya Bhagwan is in a fix because he cannot disobey the great Ravan, the mighty Ravan who controls all the 9 grahas, who actually mastered the art of controlling the grahas. And therefore he is in a fix, and so he has to obey Ravan. So what he does is he takes this decision of going against his dharma. The dharma of that speed of that the sun's orbiting the earth or the earth orbiting around the sun. He breaks that. He tries to break that. And it so happens that Lord Hanuman is requested by Garudadev, the one who is capable of destroying the Nagas. So while Garudadev and Hanuman go together to destroy those Naga Pashans, Garudev says, you go take care of Surya Bhagwan, I will take care of the Nagas. And he goes to do the destruction of the snakes there, which are entwining Rama and Lakshmana.
Okay.
Now, this story has a wonderful twist to it, because when Hanuman approaches Surya, it is Surya who says, thanks to you. Thanks to you that I'm not able to break, or I'm at least prevented from breaking the rules of dharma. So this story brings so much of emphasis on balancing our life between our duties, our moral duties. Wherever there is adharma, there is going to be punishment. We have to face that. So that is the reason why Mars, being the commander of the army, he is the Karaka for that. He gets exalted in Saturn's house because Saturn likes that, and Mars being there also likes that area of life where there is discipline. So whenever there is a weak Saturn, one remedy is to wake up early in the morning and be on time, be punctual. That is one remedy considered for a weak Saturn. So that is the reason why we say that Mars is exalted. So that was small take I wanted to mention.
Okay.
Now, coming to this point, there's another problem with budding astrologers, and that is that half knowledge is always dangerous, and especially in a complicated subject as astrology. It can be dangerous if it is, for example, a prediction about life, Ayush, health, or something like that, where we give a wrong prediction without awareness of the exceptions that are there in astrology. So one such exception that I was really interested, and that exception also is seen in my chart, that's the reason why I plunged into it headlong, is that of the shloka mentioned in BPHS. And I would request Gautam to share the screen with that shloka to kickstart the discussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gautam has that green board thing, which he's been creating. So he has that shloka and the translation. So we first start off with referring to that shloka, and then we'll go ahead with the charts. Is that okay, Guruji?
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
Gautam is preparing for exams, and in spite of that, he has got time to do this.
Yeah, Gautam, those black boxes are in the way. Please remove
them.
It'll
go off, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody can read that, it's in Sanskrit.
Sashte Ashtamage, right? The first word is Sashte Ashtamage. That is, Sashta is sixth house and eighth house. Tritiya is the third house. Va means or. Swa. Okay. Swa Nichata. Why is this Swa? Nichata. Graha. Occupied by debilitated planets as the ascendant lord is exalted. Lagna Pashyet Swa Bochasto Lagnapo Rajayogadaha. As the ascendant lord is exalted. Wait a minute. If the 6th, 8th, and 3rd occupied by debilitated planets as the ascendant lord is exalted or is in own house. Oh, that's why the swa. Okay, the swa means own. So this is something about the next line is ucha. Okay, swa and then ucha. There it was swa and swanichata. So that's only the confusing part.
Yeah, 2 times it's occurring.
Yeah, it is occurring. The swa word. Why is it appearing in a debilitation? Whereas exaltation and own house we can understand. And aspects the ascendant, there is Raja Yoga. As the ascendant Lord is exalted or is in own house and aspects the ascendant, there is Raja Yoga. So the prime requisite is there are debilitated planets in 6, 8 and 3. Okay.
It is actually or Guruji.
Or only, because va means or. Otherwise it will be usually cha, cha, cha. Cha means and, like that. Okay. So we can take it as or. Even if one planet is debilitated in 6, 8 or 3rd house, but at the same time the ascendant Lord is exalted or in his own house, but aspects the ascendant, there is Raja Yoga. So in this case, he's hinting at if the ascendant Lord alone is so well placed, maybe there's a requirement for debilitated planets, at least one of them in 6, 8. It's a sloka straight from BPHS. We shouldn't question why Maharishi Parashar has given us this. Okay. So, do you have example charts?
Yes, Guruji. But before that, there is something here that I would like to point out and probably have a small discussion. So one thing is that 3, 6, 8 are considered as Dusthanas along with 12, and 3 is not that big a Dusthana. It's like 50% of it is Dusthana. Even the 6th, I would say, is like 50% Dusthana because it is also the Upachaya house. And 8th is again a Dusthana. So there are 2 connotations in this. One is that when there is a debilitated Graha in the Dusthanas, then it doesn't necessarily have to be giving bad results. This is one take. And another is the balancing or the one that's pulling the rope on the other side is that the ascendant Lord, the Lagna Lord should be exalted or in own house, then and only then it is qualified as a Raja Yoga. But let us see if it works in real charts and then we can come to some conclusion. And there is this and here should be removed and should be made or Gautam. If the 6th, 8th or 3rd occupied by debilitated planets, I would say that.
Yeah, it is definitely or only because va.
Yes, Kishorji. Yeah. But I straight away wrote this from our Sandhanam's version of B pages. And it's definitely or and it's not possible. And this yoga is impossible if it's and.
Yeah, very, very impossible, I would say.
Yes.
Good. So let's go into the deep dive of charts and I'll share the screen. And maybe we can... Guruji, do you want me to share the full screen or just the basics?
Like however you do it, no, normally.
Okay. I'll share the basics then. Just give me 1 second. So is the screen visible?
Yes, Kishorji.
We have a situation of debilitated planet in Mars in 6th. One of the conditions. Sun in 8th we got. Okay. The Lagna Lord is in Swakshetra, but not aspecting the Lagna, right?
Or exalted.
Yeah, but at least it is in Swa, right? It is in own house. So you can start off by like what are we supposed to do, Kishorji, now?
Yeah, so if there is any way to delineate what we learned from the shloka here, then we see that the Lagna Lord is in owned house or good dignity. And we also see the debilitation of Mars, debilitation of Sun. And this is the chart of a very famous person. And she rose to such great heights. What could be the reason for that? So to start to create a confusion, we started off with Mars debilitated, especially in the 6th house. And that too, it's quite close to its debilitation, deep debilitation, which is 28 degrees.
Or going towards deep debilitation.
Going towards, and it is also in the Rahu Ketu axis.
Okay.
That is one point. And there's no benefic aspect, if I'm not mistaken. There's no benefic aspect on Mars.
Kishorji,
Yep.
the shloka said something about the debilitated planet in 3, 6, and 8. Benefic or malefic, or no?
No, just debilitated.
That is either the 6th or the 8th or the 3rd occupied by a debilitated planet. But the later part of the sloka is that the Ascendant Lord must either be in Swakshetra or exalted. But I think there is a condition that it should aspect the Lagna. Okay.
So from practical example, yeah.
Wait a minute. Anu says Mars is exalted in D9.
It is, sir.
Now, this is something that the Maharshi has accepted in several places. Even in Dashadhyaya, he said, if a planet is debilitated in Rashi chart, but exalted in Navamsha chart, it is very good. It's a very good condition.
Yes. So there is this small pitfall here that I'm seeing, and that is that it is a Neecha Bhanga. And Neecha Bhanga is definitely it's more like, a person having an artificial leg and a person having no leg. The difference is that an artificial leg will be almost equivalent to the actual leg, but will not be giving the same amount of comfort or utility. So that is a point that was mentioned by Shri Mark Boni. And that point really sticks to my mind. So that is one aspect of Neecha Bhanga here. And we have to take that with a pinch of salt. The reason why I mentioned this point, contrasting with Anuji's point, is that though that Neecha Bhanga, that debilitation is cancelled, still the effect of debilitation should have been felt by by the person, right? So is that the only reason why this person was able to overcome all odds and become a top-notch person in his field of expertise? Or is there more beyond this that we can perceive? And I'm trying to hint.
One point is the Yoga Karaka for this Lagna is Venus. And Venus is very close to, actual Bhava Madhya. And he's a lot of the 4th in the 9th and in own house. But then if you use the other logic that the planet that gets
Venus Nakshatra.
Huh?
He born in Venus Nakshatra.
Oh, he's born in Venus Nakshatra. Okay, that's one point. But that may be because his life starts with this person's life starts with the Venus Mahadasha.
Yoga Karaka Dasha.
Yoga Karaka's Dasha, it starts. So it gives him a straight away, they get a push. But this one condition that the 9th Lord is in the 9th makes a person extremely prosperous, right? But if you use Neecha Bhanga Raja Yoga concepts, of them, the most powerful Neecha Bhangas are the own house planet and debilitated planet together, right? So, in Tamil, they'll say, Neecham Nindra Rasinathan Achi Uchamerilin is one famous, Neecha Bhanga Raja Yoga. But this one is in the same sign who gets debilitated, that one also is there with Venus. So it gives rise to Neecha Bhanga straight away. So who is giving the Neecha Bhanga? The Neecha Bhanga is given by Venus. Sun is the debilitated one and Venus gives it. So there is, at least we got some clue there. But then if you take the other side, that from the moon, this is again in Swakshetra, right? Venus is in Swakshetra. So from Lagna in 7th, from moon in the from Lagna 9th, and from moon the 7th. So from Chandra Kendra, we have the situation of an exalted and or debilitated and own house planet. So Venus got some big strength here. Okay.
And his birth is on the Purnima, right? It's 25 degree.
Must be 25, 25, 40.
Proper. Yeah.
Proper, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is a very powerful moon there.
Yeah, that's a powerful moon.
So there are two Neecha Bhangas, Guruji. One is this Parivartana between Mars and Moon, which
Mars
is
and
happening,
Okay.
very rare. And the other Parivartana is this Parivartana which Sri Devi ji mentioned about Mars being exalted in Navamsh.
Yeah.
So there are two things.
And one more is that it receives the aspect of its exaltation Lord Saturn.
Oh, okay.
We forgot that. Yes, exaltation.
Yeah.
Exaltation planet connected.
Yeah. Mutual love, so yeah. So
And
I think
we
that
will
was a pretty interesting point.
Yeah.
Actually, Neecha Bhanga, there is lot of rules actually for cancellation. Okay, there's more than one. So you have to.
Yes, sir. And here there is additional Neecha Bhanga for Sun.
Correct.
Because in this
Kendra
sign,
from Moon.
because
Kendra from Moon.
because it's exactly, and Trikona from Ascendant.
Trikona from Ascendant. Okay.
Also, that is this beautiful combination of the fourth, fifth, and the ninth connected in the ninth house, Mercury and Venus. So there is a small blemish here with Venus getting combusted by Sun. But we would like to take that with again a pinch of salt because that usually happens. Venus and Mercury usually come in the zone of combustion. It's not a big deal, I would say.
Guruji, how we see Saturn there? Because usually Saturn in 12th house somehow terrible, but here it's in its own house, but with Ketu.
You'll have to give some weightage to the fact that after all, it is Lagna Lord and it is in Swakshetra, right? Even though it is in the 12th house. So I think not so much of 12th house things. I mean, the bad side of 12th house won't be that much pronounced, I think.
But Guruji, in Bhava, it is in it's in 11th, right?
In the Bhava chart.
Yeah.
29 minus, yeah, correct.
It is here. It is here.
Yeah, it is just, it just crossed over into the 11th Bhava. It's on the border. So it'll give more positive only, right? Okay. So in that case, if you look at the aspect table, maybe on the house, maybe Saturn might be actually looking at Lagna. Can you check that? Maybe at least, maybe 50%, more than 50% drishti of Saturn on Lagna. There is a possibility because of the gap. Do we have that chart? The house.
Yeah.
Planets on houses.
55.
Yeah, I said no, 50% at least. Yeah. So 55. 55% Saturn is looking at Lagna. So to that extent, whatever was there, what the first slide that you showed, some of it is being fulfilled here.
And moreover, Mars is also the third lord who is in the sixth.
Okay.
So are we not getting that exception, that great Rajyog combination here?
Only third and 10th house.
So can we also consider Rahu's aspect, a co-lord aspecting 90%?
Which one? Rahu is Lagna Lord.
Co-lord. Aspecting Lagna 90%.
Yeah. Maybe yes.
Rahu's 9th aspect.
And another thing, Guruji, is this. I think I'll have to take Gautam's assistance to check this. Is this a nodal Raj Yoga from Moon?
Which one?
From the Moon Lagna, we see Mars with Rahu in Kendra.
Yes.
Mars is a trinal lord, being from the Moon Lagna is a Lagna lord, and he's with Rahu. So that could be the Raj Yoga caused by Rahu.
Yeah, from Moon it's a nodal Raj Yoga.
From Moon. Yeah,
See, one important point about Raj Yogas, at least Neecha Bhanga related, the proof will usually be in its period there could be a spectacular growth.
And Guruji, I think you mentioned something about, I don't know whether it was mentioned in today's class, about from the moon lagna, we also see this combination of Saturn, Mars aspecting each other from being the lagna lord and the 10th lord. And also the 11th house.
Was there a remarkable time, like a trigger, a particular period in this person's life that, I mean, was a milestone, something like that, which we can refer against Dasha and Antardasha combination and find out whether it has something to do with a debilitated planet, a Neecha Graha, or what are the planets? Then we can try to correlate with the rule, with what we saw in the first slide.
Also, can you please confirm that was there any significant change in his life or in terms of achievement or whatever the recognition?
Yes.
After 38 years to 50, that Libra Charadasha, I mean.
Yeah. I have to put Vimshottari
where the Neecha Bhanga happened, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Vimshottara
so
is.
This is this is the period when the rise actually happened, Guruji. You're right. So this Mars and Rahu dashas were the one which propelled her into the peak.
Oh, is it a her? Okay.
It's a her. It's a female child.
Okay.
So Guruji, talking about this growth only, and sorry, I've joined late, so I may have, this was already discussed. But Saturn and Ketu, when they are together, is it true that even that can cause achievements? Yama yoga or whatever, I don't know. Or is it mostly negative?
If you're talking from the personal point of view, then it is outside the domain of today's discussion. Because we may not know what exactly transpired in her life, right? And though she's a public figure, facts will be definitely concealed if it is going to tarnish the name of the native, right?
No, not personal. I'm just saying achievement. Because no, Saturn Ketu is not Yama. I think it's Preta Yoga. I don't know which, some yoga, right? Preta Yoga, I think.
Can we consider this Rahu as a good Rahu, Guruji, being in the malefic, being in the 6th house?
Yes, definitely. Rahu is a good one. Yeah, Rahu is a good graha. There's no doubt. Some of the places mentioned in BPHS, Rahu does very well in Cancer for some reason. We do not know the logic.
And in Navamsha, we see again this debilitation of Mars happening by Mars being exalted. Not only that, but also aspecting the dispositor. And Saturn there, his debilitation gets cancelled in Navamsha. So that is another, return of favor, I would say.
Okay.
Going by human relationship rules. Lagna Lord is exalted there in Navamsha. Sorry, debilitated. Yeah.
I learned about it because I have Rahu in the Karkataka. So the local astrologers, when I was studying astrology, they used to say, "Oh, you got Rahu in Kadagam." In Tamil, they say, "Kadagathile Rahu." Okay, like that. So later I found out from classical textbook as it was mentioned.
That also strengthens the logic behind, the sayings that we have to start with our own chart. We remember things.
That's because we remember, right? We remember our things more than let's admit we are all selfish. Okay.
More like, when the game we play carries more meaning, because we have been thinking about it.
Correct.
This is the first time, Guruji, I've heard something good about my Rahu.
Oh, so you're also joining. Okay.
Yes.
Ishwarji, does she work in a spiritual field?
Not sure about that. I can check it up. But what is the basis for that? Is there any astrological rule? Is it just Saturn Ketu in the 12th?
No, even Rahu at the 6th, Nishbanda for the Sun, exalted Mars and Venus on the ascendant, Rahu and the 5th in Navamsha. There are many combinations.
Ketu is Jnana Karaka and Saturn is Pravrajya Karaka, right? So they're coming together, can actually make people more maybe research minded, and maybe more oriented to deep thinkers.
Keshavji had messaged you. I mean, I think it went to, a direct message.
Oh, Ashwath, it is the same question asked by Mardini also. No, she's an actress actually, and she achieved the peak of her name, fame in surprise, the Dasha of Mars, the debilitated Mars.
I've seen a chart where this debilitated planet in a D1 but exalted in D9 gives a very good result. This is another chart that I'm seeing.
That was the direct Neecha Banga example, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
today's discussion.
Not that. Maharishi Parashara has repeatedly said, if a planet is debilitated in Rashi but exalted in Navamsha, in its Dasha time, there will be sudden growth.
Sir, what about the other way around? If exalted in Rasi and debilitated in Navamsa,
then you have to think as opposite only.
Yeah, yes, because it is said in classical book itself. I think it's in Uttar Kalamrata, the Rishi said it.
The opposite, right?
Yeah. If a planet is debilitated in D1 and exalted in Navamsha, it gives Raja Yoga effects. And if it's the other way around, then it's not good. That's what it said. And this Mars Dasha, when I see a Mars in a Dasha person, how immense fame I look at the Dasha Lagna too. In this case, from the Dasha Lagna, most planets fall in Kendra. Except one planet, all other planets are in Kendra, which Mark Bonney would call it as mutual co-workers. Right, Kishorji?
Oh, between them in square. Okay. If you draw a square over Moon, Rahu, Sun and Saturn. Okay.
Sir, other day I was if you remember Gautam, I was talking to you and I was mentioning that this is one of the point that we need to do a research from the Dasha Lagna, irrespective. Whenever we look whenever we glance a chart, everything looks not good. But if we deep dive into the chart and every planet from the Dasha Lagna, if it is in the Kendras or trine, right, it is giving a very good result.
Ashwath, that is a logic in every sloka in Dasha Adhyaya. The Maharishi has always asked us to count from Dashanath. In fact, I always used to tell my students, even in direct classes also before, now only I'm having online classes. During the Dasha, you can even look at the horoscope as though the Lagna is that and get different results. Like if you want to know what's going on, how nice this is, it's like as though you can shift the Lagna from Aquarius, you can shift it to, mentally only, just to get more reconfirmation. So Rahu and Mars, from their Dasha point of view, it will be like all of them are in Kendra. So you can read the chart like that. You can read now the Lagna Lord and 10th Lord have exchange houses. You can read as from Rahu, the 5th house of movies is sitting in Lagna, or it is Yoga Karaka. Like that you can read.
Yes, sir. That's what it is, overriding the actual Lagna. I would like to put it in this way.
Yeah, we have to accept human life like that because we are not the same, right? Whereas the chart, the Lagna based reading, will always assume that we are just the same throughout life. But sometimes we are not the same. And when Neecha Banga Raj Yoga is involved, there will be dramatic shift in mentalities and so on. So, we have to do some, classical examples of where people's lives changed during a particular planet's dasha, and after that it won't be like as though it doesn't match with the ascendant. It look like that.
In the test, Rishi, if we take the Mars as Lagna, then it's a fifth lord in the 10th. And very good.
Yoga Garaka,
we all know.
Yoga Garaka in the Lagna it will become. Okay.
And Lagna Lord is also in the 10th house.
Correct. Lagna Lord in the 10th house. So something very important about career.
Very important. Yeah, everything is positive. Yeah.
Guruji, even from ascendant itself, we have good Raj Yoga. Lord of the 4th house, Lord of the 5th house, and 9th house.
Correct.
And the Krishnamurti Bhadati said that Vimshatari Dasha is Nakshatra based Dasha. If you want to see the result, take the Lord of the Nakshatra where it's placed. So in Mars, if we apply it in Mars, we have to go to Mercury. Mercury is affecting this Raj Yoga between Venus, Mercury, and Sun, because Sun also ruling the 7th house. So if we take Mars Dasha, as per Krishnamurti Bhadati, because Vimshatari is Nakshatra based Dasha, we have to take the primary effect. Where is Mercury? And what's the yoga done by Mercury? So Mercury now is a trigger of this Raj Yoga, because there is good Raj Yoga between 4th, 5th, and 7th, and the 9th. And as per Krishnamurti Bhadati, 9th house is the first house, which triggered in this Dasha.
Mardini, you also have to include the 8th lordship of Mercury, because that was a sudden transformation that happened in the life. And it was not only sudden, it was also a very high transformation.
Yeah, correct. But I'm just hinting to the Raj Yoga itself. So there are the 4th and the 5th and the 7th and 9th. So it's good Raj Yoga, but the Dasha of Mars will active this yoga, because Mercury in the 9th house.
So I'm waiting for someone to comment on the presence of Jupiter in Kumbha to give us an idea of the wealth that is there in the chart. A small hint is that Jupiter is 2nd and 11th. Dhanakarakan.
That is going to 12th in Bhava, right?
Yeah, in the Bhava chart, it will go to
the Bhava chart, yeah.
Jupiter in the nakshatra of Rahu. Mercury is in the nakshatra of Rahu.
Kishore, big wealth, I'm sure also. But I am taking it from other angle. From the 11th from Arudha Lagna. The Raj Yoga and the 11th from Arudha Lagna. And the SBT Jaimani Upadesha Sutra, Venus there with Raj Yoga, it's very good for wealth.
So a normal Neecha Bhanga effect would not be propelling to such great heights, is what I'm trying to say. And the additional impact or the additional push that this chart got was because of that the effect of that shloka, which was shown by Gautam. So Gautam, can you share that shloka screen once again for the benefit of the late joiners?
Kishorji, I noticed one thing. Other than Navamsha and Rashi, the Venus position, it maintains the 9th house all through Drakana, D7, D10. Venus maintains the 9th house.
In Navamsha, it is in the Lagna.
Except Navamsha. Other, see in D10, D7. So the 9th house, as for Rashi, that Guruji mentioned, 9th house, Venus maintaining its 9th house, it's good, right?
Good observation.
George, I am sharing the screen.
Just one sec. Let me share.
Kishorji, now she is in Dasha of what?
Saturn.
So Jupiter's Dasha is over.
Yeah, just got over. 2022.
How was it?
It was good.
So I'm just trying to correlate it to second lord in the 12th, 11th lord in the 12th, as per the Bhava.
Okay.
Did she make any money from foreign land or?
She's an international figure.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm just trying to check that. I'm just trying to check that 11th lord in the 12th, second lord in the 12th, as per the Bhava.
Yeah.
No, we'll have to use every idea. It's not just based on this sloka alone, Kishorji, because, like for example, when Mardini said, we have to look at, because wealth is something that everybody notices, right? Wealth is something, when people say, maybe the person is wealthy may not feel is wealthy, but who will say is wealthy? Others will say, right?
No, I'm just giving that as a stack up, Guruji.
Yeah, stack up. Yeah, stack up. So that
the
Arudha, so the Arudha Lagna is in Sagittarius, right? For this person, is that right?
Yes. Yes, correct.
That's what Mardini was saying, right? Because now, if that is true, then the 11th house is loaded with all kinds of things, right? We have maybe we can have add another dimension to it. The Neecha Bhanga thing is happening in the 11th house, right? So one of the top rules in Arudha Lagna is only 11th house placed planets from Arudha Lagna. So we have to consider that. Can you show the chart again, or what happened?
Yes, Guruji.
Oh, he's having
the Raj Yoga is based on the 11 from Arudha Lagna, aspected by Jupiter, Rashi Drishti. So double effect.
Yeah. 1 minute. Kishorji, can you introduce AL?
Yes, Guruji.
Please ensure that for wealth yoga, always discuss AL and even Hindu Lagna, IL. Yeah. Okay. Keep that in mind.
Okay. Should I put the Hindu Lagna here?
Yeah, in the same chart. Okay. Yes. See, you have a separate format, like if you are discussing wealth, AL will be important, and because AL, only other people say, how much of, how rich he is, how wealthy he is, he's got this many cars. The person might never even have spoken about it, but the others are only going to talk more and more about somebody who's very successful. So Arudha Lagna is something like that.
The other day, Guruji, there was a question raised, but I didn't get a proper answer. Do we consider Hindu Lagna reading also as like a typical Lagna reading, Guruji, from Hindu Lagna?
No. Hindu Lagna is like this. That is, there's something very specific only for wealth. Okay. In one of the previous charts, did we not see the Lord of Hindu Lagna in the same place?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay. Even here also we see Hindu Lagna, Lord is there.
I was also hinting at the second, the Jupiter in the
second from Hindu Lagna. Second Hindu Lagna is having Jupiter. But look at it now. The most important thing from AL is second house and 11th house for Dhana Yoga. Second house is having Saturn, 11th house is loaded. Right? Sun, Mercury, Venus.
From AL.
From AL, yes. I'll be joining in 5 minutes. Just continue, Kishorji.
Okay. I'll be introducing the next chart now, and we'll see. So, I'm not able to
see. Kishorji, whatever sir said, I just missed the last 30 seconds. The AL, like from AL, we need to look into second and 11th, right?
11th, yeah. Like the typical Dhana charts, Dhana placements. Okay. Dhana bhavas, so second and 11th.
And placement of that, the lots, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, the dignity of the house and the lot. That's just like how we look at the normal chart. Okay, so I'll pause this share for a few seconds while I load the next chart. And here's the next chart coming up. Please take a minute, meditate on the chart.
Sorry, can we display North Indian chart or not?
Yeah, I'll do it here instead of the house chart. Shall I display it here? Is that okay?
Please, thank you.
Okay.
So this matches Moon debilitated in the 8th house, Mars in the 1st house on Rashi. Okay.
This matches what sir told, right? Second Lord from AL and 11th Lord from AL.
Mardini ji, is this okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Does anybody want to comment on this? Who wants to go first?
Mahapurush Yoga. Mars. Swakshatra ascendant. Jupiter Swakshetra, 9th house.
And connection with second lord and 11th lord.
Yeah, moon debilitated in 8. Yeah.
So this brings us to that same exception that was mentioned by Maharshi Parashara in that shloka which was shown before by Gautam, where we see the debilitated graha in the 8th. So the first condition is fulfilled, and the second condition connected with the Lagna Lord being in his Swashetra, right? Own sign. And not only that, there's also the aspect of Mars on moon.
Both Venus and Saturn in Rohini Nakshatra.
And then there is aspect of Saturn on moon.
And
again,
moon
another
and
malefic.
Yeah.
There's this aspect, and there's also this Nakshatra Parivartana between Saturn and moon.
Yeah.
Rashi Drishti as well from Mars on moon.
Rashi Drishti is also there, and even the direct Drishti of Mars should be there, right?
Yeah, moon in the 8th house, yeah.
From ascendant, this person has second lord in second house. And from moon, second lord in second house again.
Good. Very nice. I think you also mentioned the fact that from the D1 Lagna, we have the 10th and the 11th Lord in the second, right?
Right.
From the Moon Lagna, we have the second and the 5th and the second Lord in the second. So basically, the point that we are trying to stress here is this moon here, which is debilitated and aspected by malefics. Obviously, we'll all be rushing forward to give negative connotations to that, right? Honestly speaking. I mean, I would definitely have given that negative connotation to this moon being afflicted by Mars and Saturn. But every time I do that, I get hit by these charts and by these research projects that are coming out. And that's when I always take an open-minded view on exceptions, because now it is more a question of, like in chess, when we first learn how to play, at one point we are taught to break the rules. So initially we first teach the rules, and to become strong, we are taught to break the rules in such a way that we know and we are in control of the situation. So in the same way, these charts also teach us that whenever we see these sort of negativities in the chart, where there is a moon is debilitated, 4th Lord is debilitated in the 8th house, and we say moon in the 8th is actually very bad, according to Brihasudram. And then we see these aspects of Mars and Saturn. Then what exactly are we missing here? Because this chart is another powerful chart. And let me explain one strange fact with this chart is that he rose into prominence all of a sudden. And the icing on the cake is that he rose into prominence during his moon dasha.
Kishorji, I feel the moon must be strong in Shadbala because it is nearly opposite to the sun.
Yeah, I guess it's approaching the peak strength.
Purnami, yeah.
Yeah, that's could be one of the reasons. But that's what I'm saying. These are the facets that we must take into account before giving the judgment. Because whenever I interact with my friends, they tend to rush in and they give a statement without looking at the paradoxes or the so-called exceptions.
Yes, you
and
are right.
I myself am a victim of that. So
And
that's the reason
also
why
the
I'm sharing it.
important thing is
One more thing, Kishorji, in D10, that particular moon is like 10th Lord. It is in first house. Connected with 9th house. D10.
Anu has a good point here. Moon's dispositor is Ruchika Yoga, which means, I think that's a good
And
point.
you also look at since you're talking of the Dashansha, we look at the 4th and 5th Yoga Karak sitting in the 10th.
Yes, Saturn.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as like in Navamsa, Kishorji.
Oh, so Okay.
And birth tithis are more like it's important. We cannot ignore that. As Parashara says, Ashtami to Ashtami, moon is strong, right? Shukla Paksha Ashtami to Krishna Paksha Ashtami.
Yeah. And this is Dwadashi.
And the other thing is moon is Jalakaraka and it is in watery sign and the place of watery.
Do we see any Neecha Banga of moon here? Yes, Mardinji.
Sorry, even like a previous chart, if we take moon and Saturn nakshatra, if we take Krishna Murti rule the same, it's not the house of the moon, it's the primary house which active in this dasha. It's where Saturn is sitting. Secondly, is the houses of Saturn. So here Saturn, Venus, 11 and second house. And
no,
secondly,
I couldn't exactly understand what you're saying. Could you rephrase it?
I mean, as per KP, as per Krishna Murti Bharati, since Vimshatari Dasha is nakshatra based Dasha, moon is in Saturn nakshatra. So during the Dasha of the moon, not the house where is the moon placed is the primary house active. Neither it's Saturn house where is Saturn placed and what is doing for yogas. Here, if we take like Saturn, the house where Saturn placed is the primary house active in this dasha. So we see Saturn as Venus, 2nd and 11 in the second house, which is very good for wealth. And secondly, the houses of Saturn, which is 10 and 11 house. In the third place, where is moon placed, which is 8th house. So in this dasha, and briefly in this dasha, first house active is the second house, then 10 and 11, and third, where is moon placed. And then what's the house ruled by moon itself, which is the fourth house.
So that was this the stack up that really stares in the face, because when we look at, of course, Mardini ji, you're talking about the nakshatra level delineation, but if I had to go back and ponder over that rule which Maharshi has said, and combining that with what our Guruji always keeps saying, that the rarer it is, the more important or more importance we need to give to that, is this fact that not only is moon in Adusthana, it is also debilitated. So there's a double whammy here for the moon. And triple whammy if you count the aspect of Saturn and Mars. Then why is it that moon dasha gave such a big turnaround to the native? So to give you to give you an idea, to make you understand how big that transformation was, I'll have to tell you the name of this person and the previous person. So the previous chart was that of Demi Moore or Demi Moore. Okay, the most famous actress of Hollywood. And this chart belongs to none other than Gerald Ford. And it is in Moon Dasha that he became the president of this of United States in this same Moon Dasha.
And did we discuss about one very important fact of Jupiter being ninth lord in ninth, and it is having an look at the degree, Lagna degree and Jupiter degree. We'll have full aspect on Lagna, 5th house.
It's in Bhava Madhya, right?
Yes. And 7th house, not 7th, 3rd house, and then 5th house, right?
Yeah.
Whenever Jupiter and Sun aspect a conjunction, any relation between those two, it will give rise to a popularity. Isn't
Definitely.
it?
Definitely.
Yeah. And there is a 5th lord aspecting the 5th lord aspecting the 9th lord.
Sun is in the Jupiter nakshatra.
Yes, you're right. It's both ways. Wonderful. So will we count this Neecha Banga? Is there any Neecha Banga of moon here that we need to take into account, or is it straight example of that exception which was quoted in the slide?
So
Yeah, go ahead.
if you take an exception, it is in Kendra from Venus in own house. And what else we can think of?
It is like Swakshetra Lord is aspecting it.
Yes.
Maybe it's a low level Neecha Bhanga, but still it is.
No, dispositor aspect moon is a big Neecha Bhanga.
Saturn's roles also we need to see the Kishorji. Moon and Saturn exchange their nakshatra.
Yeah, that was discussed.
Yeah, okay.
Was the nakshatra parivartana or the sukshma parivartana?
Or we can we say that the Mars which is producing Richika Yoga is having aspect on Moon, but aspect is always bad, right? So the malefic aspect is malefic aspect always, like irrespective of.
No, Ashwath, I would say that we have to take that with from experience only, because I feel basically the Lagna Lord's position is even bigger than the natural
maleficity
qualities of the Graha. Especially when I looked at some charts, a conflict of opinion will be there, but I would say that each person has to discover
your
that.
point cannot be denied, because if we consider that Lagna Lord, which is producing Richika Yoga, and it's all aspect, if it is producing a bad yoga, then what's the point in having a Richika Yoga? Like Richika Yoga should give its results, right? Its fruits and results. We cannot simply ignore, because we have seen Rahu giving a Raja Yoga, we have seen Saturn giving a Raja Yoga Karaka.
Yeah.
As I know, there is no Nishbanga for the moon itself. The moon is the only planet he cannot get Nishbanga, because if the moon is the only planet, if it's debilitated in Rashi, cannot be exalted in Navamsha. And if it's exalted in Navamsha, cannot be debilitated in the Rashi. It's the only planet. No Nishbanga for the moon.
There are other rules, Mardini-ji, other rules also are there for Neecha Bhanga, and one of them is this dispositor's aspect on the moon.
Yeah, but this can be considered a half Nishbanga, not fully Nishbanga, because there is no any planet exalted, not even debilitated in Scorpio, except the moon.
This is Swakshetra.
Yeah, the dispositor itself is in one house.
The dispositor, it's an own house. But if we want to apply the Nishbanga, it should be some planet exalted in Scorpio, and there is no any planet can get exalted in Scorpio. This planet which exalted in Scorpio should be in Kendra, from the moon or from the ascendant, but there is no any planet exalted in Scorpio. Not even debilitated, even if the planet debilitated in moon, but there is no any planet debilitated in Scorpio except moon.
See,
so it's very hard.
Applicable. Yeah, Mardini-ji, the other rules are not coming here into play. That I agree. But one rule definitely comes into play, right?
Yeah, that's the dispositor, Mars. It's in own house, having aspect on the moon, or having even Rashi Drishti on the moon. Yes, somehow it's mitigate the situation of the moon. But like full Nishbanga, the moon cannot get full Nishbanga if it's debilitated.
So can we say that this Neecha Bhanga part of it is not satisfactory? But can we say that the yoga caused by the shloka that was mentioning that the debilitated grahas in 3, 6, and 8 will give Raja Yoga if the Lagna Lord is in good dignity, right? Swakshetra or exalted. So if you can recollect that slide, and then we see that this turnaround could be because of so many pointers, not many pointers, in fact, compared to the previous chart had some additional points, but in this chart, it is a pure case of the shloka coming into play. Especially the exception which was mentioned by Rishi Parashi.
Guruji, Kishorji, I'm getting one point here. It's a Pakata Yoga, when Jupiter is 6, 8, and 12, we discussed 12 also be considered, 6, 8, and 12 from each other. And Jupiter has good dignity, but not moon. How do we say that?
No.
Okay, so for that, Gautam has discovered something. Yes, Gautam, please say what you discovered.
Yeah. In this, Shakata Yoga is only formed from moon. It's not mutual 6, 8, and 12. It's from moon. From moon, Jupiter should be in 6, 8, and 12. In this case,
Okay.
moon, Jupiter is in
that's fine.
second from moon.
Yeah, I
If it
understand
was
that.
the
Okay, I
other way
thought,
around, it was the Shakata Yoga.
yeah, okay. So it should not be seen from Jupiter, just from the moon. That's it. Okay?
Yes.
In
And I
fact, Parmeshwarji, the other day when you asked the question,
Yeah.
after the session was over, the next day, I think Gautam came to me with the suggestion that I think it was mentioned in one of the classics, right, Gautam? That this is not considered as Sakat Yoga. When Moon is in Scorpio and Jupiter is in Sagittarius, then this 212 placement of Moon Jupiter doesn't count as a Sakat Yoga.
I mean, the problem here is that people think that it's mutual 6, 8, and 12. It's not mutual. It's just moon. From moon, Jupiter should be in 6, 8, and 12 for Shakata Yoga. In this case, moon is in second from. Sorry, Jupiter is in second from moon, which makes it an Anabha Yoga, if I remember correctly.
Which is a good thing, right?
Yes, which is a good thing. And
Any benefit other than sun from second from moon, right? Anapa Yoga.
There are two yogas, like Sanafa and Anafa Yoga. Yeah, that's right.
But Kishorji, Sakata Yoga can be considered 212, or only we take 6-8 relationship between Moon and Jupiter?
I would go with 6-8, Martinji, just to be on the safe side.
Okay.
But the reason why Gautam said is also there, that we cannot deny. He says to take 6, 8, 12 from the moon, not from Jupiter. But 6, 8 is actually it is mutual, whereas 212 may not be mutual, right? That is the reason I think Gautam wants to mention.
And the Faladevi itself, it is mentioned only from moon only. And in this case, it's not Anabha Yoga, sorry, it's my mistake. It's Sunafa Yoga, when planets are in second from moon.
Yeah, this is very good point. Yes, Sunafa Yoga, correct.
Yeah, that planet should be other than sun. That is a condition.
Yes.
Do we have Chandradi here, Gautam?
No. It's only benefits. Benefits in 6, 8, and 12 from moon.
Was it not 6, 7, 8?
Sorry, 6, 7, and 8 from moon. Benefits.
Okay.
Not malefics.
But in some school of thought, they say whether it's malefic or benefic, it is still a Chandradi Yoga.
Oh. Even Pullipani says it's benefic only.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And my opinion of that sloga is that the sloga of Great Parashara exception is that even if it's Neeja or Neeja Banga, that yoga still applies.
That is what the second chart. This chart is actually portraying that, right?
Because a planet in Neeja Banga doesn't mean it's not Neeja. Those are two different conditions, but not conflicting each other. Just by a planet getting Neeja Banga doesn't mean it's not a Neeja. The Bhava still suffers. Even if it has a good Neeja Banga, the Bhava ruled by that planet still suffers.
Today's session was actually just a small teaser on how we can miss some of the important rules in astrology, and it is actually a awakening call to go deep into it and not miss any part of the book that is written by the ancient sages. And I would suggest that even not to miss the shlokas themselves, because sometimes even translators will make a mistake.
Yeah.
And to mention these two charts as an example, This entire idea was actually given by Mark Bonney in his most famous book, which is known as That Great Parashara Exception, and where he talks about multiple charts. So if any of you are interested in going into that in detail, there are so many charts discussed with these exceptions in mind that when you go through that entire the examples, the list of examples, you will tend to have a new armor, a new weapon in your armory, you know. So the next time you see debilitated grahas, we will not rush to see, to give the negative, you know, the scary thing. Rather, we would like to go and look around for the positives. And in fact, many of my friends have been telling me, why am I only telling the positives? Because I say, because I look at the positives first. A lot of things which are coming out as positive, I need to, you know, assure them, because people come for consultation only when there is some pain or there's some confusion or some deliberation they need advice on. When it is just a static analysis and it involves a person who is not connected with us and who is not sitting across the table, then those are the moments when we can go into the deep dive and look at what caused the exception, and also to see the negatives in the chart. It doesn't bother the native, doesn't bother us, because we are in no way connected with the natives, whether they are existing or they passed away. But when there's a client sitting in front of us and we see these exceptions in place, and in fact, Gautam pointed out that this exception is seen even in my case also, in my chart, then it becomes even more intriguing, because that explains a lot of things that happened in our lives, in my life in particular. So whenever we read, we come across these things, please do further research on it and try to strengthen that the knowledge that we have already attained, and maybe share it with us whenever time permits. That's a sincere request.
This topic remind me of one chart. Maybe we can discuss it in one session. I have one chart that almost all the planets are debilitated. So maybe I can refer it and we can discuss it in one session.
Oh yes. Let me know, and maybe you can even send it to Guruji also.
Yeah, I will send it to Guruji. Maybe we can discuss it in one session.
Yeah. See, the exceptions are what, you know, there are two risks we run when we are looking at a chart, delineating the chart. The first is that with half knowledge, we should not rush into the opinion. And second thing is, there are things that are beyond our known domains. And when such things come into our awareness, then we must not reject it outrightly. Okay, so we must keep it as some sort of a research that needs to be undertaken, and especially when it is mentioned by the sages, that is even more important. And now, if it is mentioned by, let us say, someone who says it's my theory is this or my theory is that, then we'll first see if it conforms to the traditional opinion. We'll give weightage to that, and then we'll come to the exact analysis of the charts. So I would like to thank Mark Bonney for giving me that that knowledge through his book, The Great Parashara Exception. It is available in Amazon. Please buy it. Go through it. It's also available in Kindle Unlimited. Those who have the Kindle subscription can get it, read it, and strengthen your conceptual understanding. And if there's anything that's interesting, intriguing, please share it with us in your future sessions.
Surji, I also have a quick question. So one of our sessions we should also include, let's say if there is a Leo ascendant whose Yoga Karaka is Mars and it's exalted, but the exaltation is in 6th house. How is that going to what should we, if there is a Leo ascendant whose Yoga Karaka is Mars exalted in 6th house in Capricorn? So it's obviously it's a 6th house, Mars and the Yoga Karaka moved to 6th house, and how should we interpret it? Or if there is a Leo ascendant again and Venus exaltation is in the 8th house, It's exalted, but it's in the 8th house. And how should we interpret it? Those kind of things I think we should also include in more discussion. If you have more charts like that,
definitely,
it would be very helpful.
These are the charts that would be eye openers for us, that would really introduce the concept in a way that we can digest.
Yeah, that would be very good for discussion.
And there was this the first shloka in Raja Yoga chapter. It comes up with a statement that we have to look at Raja Yogas not just from the D1 Lagna, but also from the Karakamsh Lagna. So this is again a revelation for me, because I think it should come as a revelation to most of my fellow students who traveled with me, who started the journey with me. So we have been ignoring the Karakamsha Lagna, but Maharshi Parasha says to take that into account, not just separately but parallelly, to include to add to the importance of the Raja Yogas from just the D1 Lagna. So Gautam will have to take that up as with all the charts that we are going to do in the future, the Karakamsha Lagna and the D1 Lagna. And then please go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. No, I just want to mention for the question asked by our friend, the same thing, like, for Leo Lagna, Mars Yoga Karaka placed in the 6th, how does that impact? Sachin Tendulkar has the same thing, and he started playing cricket around the age of 16 or 15 years, and his moon degree was 25 degrees, so end of Venus, and then 6 years sun and 10 years moon, and then exactly when he coming to, like, he came to limelight in 1991, I think. So moons that have started, he came to limelight. It's a victory over enemies. Sixth law, Yoga Karaka exalted in 6th house.
But in that case, then we'll have to ask Ramesh ji about the dignity of sun. So where is the Lagna Lord?
Sun is in Mars place, Aries.
No, we have to ask Ramesh ji first, because he said about this chart. He asked a hypothetical question. Then we also should consider sun, right?
So for this example, the Sachin Tendulkar's example, sun is exalted. Sun is also exalted.
Wow. What more do you want?
So I'm talking about without any exaltations, just taking one particular point. There will be some other combinations too, but one particular point of Yoga Karaka moving to 6th and getting exalted, or 9th Lord, 10th Lord moving to 8th house and exalted. So those kind of combinations, single combinations, not reading. We can read other combinations matters too. Like there is some other planet that has like Jupiter having aspect on Lagna or something. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about specifically for how to interpret that combination of Yoga Karaka in 6th house and exalted. Something like that.
To start off from whatever understanding I have, is that the 6th house usually stands for, is actually not just an Udusthana, it is also the Upachaya. And to have Mars, to have Mars in the 6th is actually a blessing.
Yes.
Okay. So to have an exalted Mars, that too, the Mars being qualified as the Yoga Karak for the native. So these are the things that Guruji tells, that whatever is rare, give importance to that. Whatever is common, keep it in the side for the time being. For example, when people say Mercury is combust or, Venus is combust, those are not rare. Okay. But when there is combustion, and along with that there is an eclipse, and along with that we have a moon conjunct with sun, then we say that there is a big problem in the chart, right?
Yes.
See, it becomes rarer and rarer and rarer. So the chart tries to tell us something. So when we see that Mars is in the 6th, definitely he is going to succeed in his endeavors. We have because Malefic in the 6th, and then Upachaya Sthan, and then Mars in the 6th will also make him hardworking, disciplined. I think if I remember right, Sachin was on the cricket grounds for practice much earlier than other kids could come, right? So that sort of an energy, that sort of that drive, only a Mars can give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kishore, can you open up Sachin's chart?
Give me a second. I don't know if I have it.
You will
Remember
have
my
it.
database. Yeah, but my
In the
database
big
got
database.
corrupted, remember?
Oh,
So let me see if it's there in this one.
okay. I think it's relevant.
Yeah, very. In fact, I was thinking about it, but then I thought the session would be too long. Wait, let's see.
He was born in April. Obviously, sun is in Aries.
You're lucky, Ramesh ji and Parmesh ji. We have Sachin Tendulkar's chart. But I think there was some birth time rectification done in one of the sessions by Guruji for Sachin. So I am taking this chart as an example, assuming the birth time is correct. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe you can push it to Leo. That's what Ramesh believes.
So was it 1 o'clock? Because this chart has 1 o'clock in the afternoon as birth time.
But
is this time correct, Ramesh ji?
I'm not sure. I have to check.
I mean, according to Astro Data Bank, it's 1 p.m. Yes.
1. Okay.
But the accuracy is only A. A means from memory. So we can take it with a pinch of salt. And 1 p.m. looks definitely rounded. It could be Leo ascendant too.
I don't know. There was some BTR done by Guruji.
I mean, if the ascendant is Leo, then everything is perfect. I mean, not everything. Everything has been what we discussed today. 8th house as a debilitated planet and Lucknow Lord exalted as, sorry, not Lucknow Lord. Lucknow Lord exalted, yes. The great Parashut exception.
Okay.
Assuming that the ascendant is Leo.
Oh, there's another time that I have, and that says 12:54.
That should be.
No, that's
even
not,
that is that's
yeah. Okay.
But his sun Jupiter is
Are you
Neecha
sure
Grahas.
it is Leo, Ramesh ji?
I thought when we discussed, I don't have his chart, but when we discussed, probably like in one of the beginners section, I don't remember now. That was long time ago. I remember he was Leo, and his exactly like this his chart is, and there is a Neecha Bhanga for Jupiter, and
Then you're not sure about the Lagna, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Lagna.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm sure that his Mars is exalted and Sun is exalted. That's for sure.
Okay, so if you take this as a Lagna, also everything fits the bill, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yes. Yeah. So, Kishorji, to my point, what I was talking about is earlier. So, if you have a Yoga Karaka exalted, but in a 6th, 8th, or 12th house, that kind of situations I'm talking about. If we can find a chart where Yoga Karaka really rescued the native, even though it's in a difficult place and it's exalted. So that kind of charts, if I'll try to find some that kind of charts I'm talking about. If we have some, that would be a good example or good point for discussion.
Definitely. And it has to be a holistic thing, not just looking at D1 and saying that this is exalted or debilitated. Also, you should look at the dignity of the dispositor and the Shadbal, Vimshopakbal. Everything should be taken into account before we even talk about the chart.
Yeah.
So
some
it
of the
requires
charts,
a little bit of analysis.
Yeah. Some of the charts, makes more sense looking from moon's perspective rather than ascendant's perspective. Yeah, so that also matters a lot.
And also don't forget that Skarakamsha Lagna and the Dashanath as the Lagna.
Yeah.
So these are the two things we tend to forget. And just keep an eye out on those.
Yeah, definitely.
Regarding this Yoga character in 6th house, I will give my opinion, but very general, because I don't see the chart, I don't see the dispositor, I don't see the other combination, the aspect. But like general, very general opinion, it depends if it's malefic or benefic, because the Yoga character definitely ruling Kendra. If it's malefic, and strong in the Dushtana because it's ruling Kendra. Usually the malefic is good to be strong in Dushtana. But if it's malefic and ruling Kendra, it's better to be weak. In general, I don't see the charts. But if it's benefic, it's ruling Kendra, it's good to be strong in Dushtana. But as very general statements, because we don't see any other combination in the chart.
You're talking about this chart, right?
No, sorry, I was away, but I heard the question about that Yoga Karaka planet exalted in the 6th house.
Okay.
So as very general statements, because we don't see any other combination, any other aspect on the chart, it depends if it's malefic or benefic, Yoga Karaka. So if it's malefic, since it's ruling Kendra, as very general statement, it's better to not be exalted in Dushtana. And if it's benefic, it's good to be strong because it's ruling Kendra. But this is, as I'm saying, that is very general statement. I don't see anything else in the charts.
Yeah. There's no confusion about those, Mardini. It's only the confusion is when, when you talk about the natural karaka or the natural quality of a graha and how it changes its color when it is given the role of a yoga karak. So there, people tend to have conflicting opinions. And I would say that is actually good, because then people will have to do their own research and figure out what works for them. Guruji,
yeah, correct. That's why it's better to take the chart as a whole, not only this placement.
Definitely. And even that is also important. Like that's the reason why they say the sthanabal is there. Is it in enemy sign or in friend sign or great friend sign, and the tatkalik relationship. All those things are important. So I think we'll have to sign off now, which is already late and Guruji is busy, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Kishorji.
I hope the discussion was interesting and as much a revelation for me as it was. I hope I was able to share at least some percent of it to all of you, so that we embark on a journey where we tend to broaden the horizons to see. Okay.
Thank you, Kishorji.
Thank you.